Raising women's voices, one story at a time. Welcome to the She Said Project podcast. Welcome to all of our friends who are joining us today on another episode of the She Said Project podcast. We are here today in the WCIA 3 news studios in their new podcast studio. It's kind of an honor and it's kind of exciting. This is new for me and my co-host Carrie Rosso, here to bring you stories from the That's What She Said stage. I'm Jeanette Jerzyk, one of your hosts, National Director. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Jeanette.
Does this still feel new? I feel like we're still getting used to our new digs here.
It does, and it still feels exciting. It has not lost its luster at all. I feel like every once in a while I get a glimpse of myself, and I'm just sitting over here like Hillbilly Helen, like.
I was going to ask you, have you actually watched any of our episodes to date?
I have to tell you, I did, and then I told myself stop nodding so much. And then
so
now
I've
proceeded to keep nodding. Apparently, I can't stop, won't stop. But it is exciting and it is an honor.
How can you not nod when our job here in the podcast studio is to chat with some pretty awesome women, talk about experiences they've been through, stories they've shared. And that's kind of what we look for. We look for these common ground, these common threads that we can all relate to, right? There is a lot of nodding that goes on. If you've ever watched The Audience. So I know how much we love watching the women on stage, and That's What She Said, but one of our favorite things to do is actually to watch the audience reaction during any of our speaker performances. It's a beautiful experience to watch the tears, to watch the laughter, and there's a whole lot of nodding going on. So you're right on brand.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and the audience, there's something that we can't explain to speakers until they've done it, but you literally feel what the audience is giving back to you. I've seen it really shift the whole vibe. And, these women have practiced and rehearsed. And then there'll always be a laugh where you didn't expect it, a gasp where you didn't expect it. This sounds like, it's getting kinky here. You never know what to expect. There will be a gasp when you didn't expect it. But it's so awesome to see women like encouraging and there's always the unknown that happens.
Well, it's always different when you do it for an audience, right?
See what I'm saying? See, it's taken a turn. Took a turn.
No, it's true. We'll go through months of rehearsal. These women, they spend a lot of time developing their story, writing, editing, polishing, perfecting, and then you put them on stage and it is a completely different energy when the audience is there and they do laugh for the first time or cheer them on or heckle them even. Like that first laughter, I think that energy that we feel, there's this immediate relief, right? Like we work so hard, there's this big buildup. I know this is starting to, like, we are really off color today.
Yeah.
But there's this beautiful moment where that first laugh comes and then we're all relaxed and we're having a good time. And it's a beautiful night for everybody.
It really is. And I'm so grateful for our speakers, but as we tell them, the people in the audience, they're there to laugh. They're there to cheer you on. And so I love the audiences just as much. Like you said, I love watching that. If you're on the stage, you've already heard the speaker and you know what's about to happen. And so it's fun to watch, like, oh, here it comes. They're going to start laughing.
As long as you're, quietly hiding behind the wings and not pulling a Carrie Rosso where you're like sticking your head out or sometimes there's a camera sticking out behind the curtain.
It's not my strong point. Or as some people might know, whenever I'm about to deliver a punchline, I get the giggles and I step on my own punchline. But it's the same with the speakers. I have to like stare down or think of something really sad because I start chuckling. I can feel my chest shaking before they deliver their punchline. And I'm like, it's bad enough to step on your own, but you can't step on someone else's.
There's definitely a feeling like a proud parent, right? Watching these beautiful, incredible women, shine on a stage. They're nervous before they walk out there, and then you're like, you give them that final, pat of confidence, and you push them out there into the bright lights, and you just watch them go. And it is a very proud moment for me as a director, for you as a creator. Like, this is something special. And it all started in Champaign-Urbana, where we sit today. But we have started venturing out into new communities. And it's always interesting when we produce the first show in a new market, and it's an unknown. So here in Champaign-Urbana, I'm proud to say that That's What She Said has a reputation. Women know what it is. There's an expectation every year of, ooh, who's in the show this year, and get your tickets early. But when we launch into a new market, there's a buzz, but it's not the same because nobody knows what it is yet. And so you get this beautiful room full of people in the theater and the audience, and even the women on stage don't know what to expect. And I'm sharing all of this leading up because our guest today was one of those women in a show in a new community where they had no idea what to expect. And I will stand here and admit that it was a night of incredible awe and perfection. It was a beautiful, beautiful event. That fateful night on stage in Decatur, Illinois, 2024, when we launched That's What She Said, Macon County for the first time.
I'm telling you, again, I'm sorry that this show is just taking a turn, but this foreplay is taking too long. You're going to need to, I need you to get to the,
just dive right in?
Yeah.
Well, I'm really excited to introduce you and all of our friends in our audience today to my friend, Jamie Muscato. And yes, her last name is like the wine, Muscato. I feel like we should all have some right now. Jamie was on stage, and That's What She Said, Macon County, and now she's here with us in the podcast studio.
Hello, you beautiful people.
Hello, and welcome.
Thank you. I wish that I owned rights to the wine, but I don't.
I wish you did too.
I know.
I know. That would
I'd
be
gift
perfect.
it. I would have shown up with a bottle for you ladies.
Well, every time I'm with you, Jamie, it's as if we've been, tossing back a few. The giggles ensue. It's true. It's true. But you bring light, you bring sunshine, you bring joy everywhere you go. And it's interesting because I met you several months at least, or maybe a year or two before That's What She Said, when we worked on that show.
I met you February of 2020 at Allerton Park at a women's retreat, and you gave the keynote at one of our breakfasts, and it was less than a month before COVID hit.
That is true. That was right before.
That is when I first met you and heard you talk and experienced your presence. Yeah, in a great way, memorable way.
I hope so, because a couple
I
years
remember
later,
what you talked about.
I love that.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I talked about, but that's, well, good. No one has ever.
How did you go from that to you being on the stage?
So Jeanette can fill in some of these details better than I, but it was an initiative started by our local community foundation. It was a 10-year commitment that we would do, 10 annual shows of She Said, and somehow with the women who were brainstorming potential guests, my name got thrown on the slate.
I had nothing to do with it.
Thank you, Jeanette. And whenever Natalie Beck reached out to me, she heads up our community foundation. When she reached out to me, it was an immediate yes. Like, I don't have to think about this. Yes. See you there. Let's go.
So you knew about the show?
Yes. I knew about it through Jeanette, through other women I had met at Allerton who had participated in it here in Champaign. It was already on my radar. I was aware. I was aware that it was not a Michael Scott type event. Despite what people might show up thinking. Yeah.
Now, for you to be asked to tell a story on stage, what was your first thought? What did you think you were going to talk about?
Oh, I had no idea. My life had just been completely uprooted.
That's what's so interesting about the journey that you and I went through, because you had gone through some serious stuff right around that time, and it completely changed what Jamie was going to talk about. And I don't want to give it all away yet, but yeah, you went through quite a process of figuring out what you were going to share that night.
Honestly, what it came down to is I was talking to a woman on the phone who is, I basically have 4 women in my life who I consider my moms, including my actual mom, who is a great mom and a lovely lady. It's not like I have needed other women to step into those roles, but sort of organically as you grow up, like my lifelong best friend, her mom. She was one of my moms growing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One of the women in Decatur who has become mom, like one of my adult moms, so to speak, I was on the phone with her going, Rita, it's been months, I have no clue what I'm talking about. And she said, Jamie, there's one phrase that you say every time and you've taught me to do it. She said, it sticks in my head and I do it because I know it's important because of you. She said, your motto is to show up. And that was what it boiled down to. I still kept mulling over ideas, but I kept coming back to what Rita said. And it's like, she's exactly right. She's exactly right.
I love that. She called out your own motto to you.
Yeah.
And like,
I needed it. I had
choice.
no idea. I mean, I was going through utter devastation. That is not dramatized.
But how often does that happen with women, where it's so easy for you to encourage and use that phrase with other people, and it took someone else to hold up that mirror for you to use your own advice?
Oh, well, pardon me while I split hairs. I do show up for other people. I am, so it is actions that I had already taken, but to think that maybe that's something I could actually articulate too, instead of just doing, actually talk about it,
Not only did you articulate, but you had an audience of 600 plus women and men mesmerized and cheering you on that night. So
it was a great experience. Yeah, it was a special show.
I have to agree. It was a very special night. Yeah. And so before we're like talking around, we're talking in circles here to not give it away, but I think we should just share the story that you shared, and then we can really talk about it.
That was a good setup.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to see Jamie's story. All right, well, you all get to enjoy the performance that Jamie shared on stage, and then we'll really understand what it means to show up. So please enjoy Jamie's performance of Just Show Up from That's What She Said, Macon County, 2024.
I grew up in Assumption, just 30 miles south of here. My family of 4, mom, dad, my big brother, and always a cat or 2. We come from farm families, salt of the earth, roll your sleeves up and get the job done kind of people. People who value doing what's right, including looking out for others, but you've got to do so on the down low, because the second you brag about the good deed, you've as much as canceled it. In other words, show up and shut up about it. Tonight, I'm stepping outside of that generational motto and opening my mouth about it just a bit, because it's my story. In April of 2000, 1 month into turning 16, flashing lights illuminated my rearview mirror. Fun fact, it was a good song. Doesn't get you out of a speeding ticket. Neither does a full sequin dance team uniform, which is exactly what I was wearing en route to a Central A&M basketball game. While temporarily parked on the shoulder of 51 North, I observed a car drive by, slow down, and turn onto the next country road, where it idled and waited until I resumed driving before pulling out and following me. I muttered obscenities to that asshat the remainder of my drive, convinced that a high school turd was about to make fun of me. Instead, at the school, the person who got out of that car was my brother. He had seen it was me and waited so that he could coach me on how to handle our parents. Don't tell Mom. She'll find out about it when it hits the paper. And she did. Just tell Dad, he'll be okay with it. We were raised in a family that passed out physical affection as seldom as kids go trick-or-treating in a year. And if the houses that pass out full-size candy bars are the equivalent of families that say, I love you a lot, as far as this metaphor goes, my family passed out an M&M. As in one single M&M. Don't kid yourselves with, is it peanut or peanut butter? It's an M&M. You're welcome. For the record, Mom, this is not a complaint. I'm proud of it. I don't need to be bolstered with words when your actions are saying the right things. And that night, on that drive to a basketball game, when my brother knew that his little Miss Perfect, rarely messes up sister, would undoubtedly be shaken by that slip of paper, his actions did more talking than words could have conveyed. Just show up. Life mission unlocked. 10 short years later, when I was 26, our dad was killed in a car crash. A head-on collision caused by the other driver resulted in the instant death of both men. If you find that information shocking as a listener, I can assure you that the shock of living through it is even greater. 3 days following the accident, the funeral home line wrapped outside and around the block. For 4 hours, we stood shaking hands and hugging people we knew, people we didn't know, people in suits, others with canes, some holding babies. They stood and waited, regardless of comfortability or time, to pay their respects. What's crazy is Dad's visitation was exactly 14 years ago tonight, April 6th, happening at this very moment. Even after the passage of all that time, it remains meaningful to me that so many people, including some who are in attendance tonight, cared enough to show up. By 2016, crippling endometriosis was wrecking me monthly. Endo is when your uterine tissue, for reasons still unknown, grows outside of the uterus. Every cycle that an egg is not fertilized, uterine tissue sloughs off, resulting in a period. Do you think you could make it through a whole night without hearing about this? Oh, okay. I hate it, actually. The tissue that's outside of the uterus is also told to slough, but since it has nowhere to go, it bleeds against whatever it's touching and over time forms scar tissue. It's painful. It can make your tummy bloat to the extent that you look pregnant, ironic, given that it can render you infertile. I hadn't yet learned that attempts of having a second child would be futile. By powering through the monthly physical pain, I had unknowingly sealed my fate of secondary infertility. At this point in the story, I was 32, married, and our son, Miller, was 2. It was day 4 of a bloated belly and severe enough abdominal pain that I couldn't stand up straight. My mom had taken Miller to her house as it was too difficult to keep up with a toddler. I sat on the couch, white as a sheet, and in my misery called a friend, 40 years my senior. She had suffered from the disease once upon a time herself. Jamie, what can I bring over? I really just wanted her company and I quote, "A hot fudge sundae from Dairy Queen, please." Within 15 minutes, she delivered. Now listen here. A person who shows up with snacks is my kind of person. By January of 2019, my paternal grandmother's Alzheimer's had reached the point that she failed her driver's test. Out on the very same farm where she had been born, on the same land that's been in the family for over 150 years, there she sat, alone, unable to be the independent woman she had always been. Given this was my dad's mother and her only other child lives out of state, I felt it my duty to step up into what would have been Dad's role to help care for her. So on Fridays, I would drop Miller off at preschool and drive 45 minutes down to the farm with lunch in tow. We'd visit, eat lunch, and then go to Pana for Grandma's weekly hair appointment and a trip to the library and the grocery store to get her stocked for the week ahead. An afternoon treat at Dairy Queen became part of the routine before returning to the farm, where I'd bid her farewell in time to pick up my son. In between my trip south, farmers in the area, country neighbors, church members would drop in from time to time. But me and a woman named Jan, who visited with Grandma on Tuesdays, we were the regulars. Helping care for someone with memory issues means harnessing patience in the face of repetition, alertness for any fast ones that may intentionally or unintentionally be pulled, cleverness when deterring them from buying yet another block of cheese or whatever their panic purchase of choice is, and grace when dealing with heightened levels of frustration, both theirs and yours. Grandma couldn't remember how to cut the surplus of cheese blocks in her fridge, so I'd do it. She couldn't remember how to sign a check, didn't always remember that she had had a son. And during those 6 months, she never once called me by name. I wasn't sure if she knew who I was. That June, we moved Grandma to Indiana so my aunt could better care for her. Grandma wasn't pleased. "I want to go back to the farm," she'd say. "Jamie and Jan will take care of me." Turns out she knew who I was. She knew who Jan was. And she knew that we had been showing up for her. I'm the librarian at my son's school for the 3-year-old preschoolers, clear through the 8th graders. Last fall, a notification indicated that one of our older students' mothers had passed away. I immediately preheated the oven to bake blueberry muffins. I always have a box mix on hand. My apologies, Katie. And I know what it means to be showered with food upon losing a parent. Once cooled, I packed the muffins along with a card and drove to the student's house. She let me in, accepted the care package, and showed me to the backyard where her dad and much older sister were sitting in the rawness of fresh grief. After introductions and mentioning that I had brought muffins, the trio resumed their conversation about the previous 24 hours and the unexpectedness of it all. Toward the end of my visit, my student mentioned the muffins again, saying, "Mom loved blueberry muffins. She'd buy a variety pack from Sam's and eat all of the blueberry ones first." This was news to me. Her older sister chimed in. Yesterday, in the hospital, Mom was on the phone with her best friend and asked her to bring a blueberry muffin with her when she visited today. Her voice cracked. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Awestruck, I responded, "It didn't. But somehow she got that message to me. And there are a dozen of them sitting on your kitchen counter right now." I showed up with snacks. Down in front. Last August, when Natalie asked me to speak at That's What She Said, I had no way of knowing that within a couple of weeks, the bottom of my marriage would drop out. Oh, is right. I'd lay in bed at night wondering if I'd made a mistake saying yes to this, knowing that there'd be so much change between then and now. What would I talk about when everything else seems so insignificant in comparison? Would I really take the stage, knowing that I've been the topic of many did you hear? Conversations and falsities. To not acknowledge this dissolution would feel disingenuous. It's been the forefront of my life for over half a year now. But I won't elaborate, because quite frankly, it's no one else's business. So here I stand, less than a month after turning 40, with a divorce not yet finalized, and so many unknowns in my future. For all I know, you could be thinking, what in the heck is she doing standing up there? The nerve of her. Half the time, I think so. The answer is, I'm showing up. Yeah. But I'm not just showing up for That's What She Said, or for Natalie, or for Jeanette, or for She Gave, or for you, you beautiful people. Tonight, I have shown up for me.
I know it's been over a year now, but just remembering that night and watching your story, Jamie, I have chills. I'm on pins and needles. Like, you just told this incredible story of where you were in the moment. And that is hard to do when you're still in the middle of something. But you found a way to do it, and you were so poignant and just so moving.
Thanks.
How was it for you to remember that night?
Oh, it was a great night.
Yeah.
I am in the minority of people who really, I love public speaking.
That is true. That is a minority, yes.
To be able to be on the stage with the microphone was wonderful in and of itself. I knew that I had some really special people in the crowd who were cheering me on every step of the way. And then you had done a great job with us in rehearsals of getting us ready. I was fully prepared. Let's go. Let's do it. It was great. And we had a great group of women. I really loved the group that I was part of.
I thoroughly agree. That was a phenomenal cast.
Special year.
And you had these moments in your story where you referred to Katie's story and Laura's story. Like, you connected through the power of your story. And for the people in the audience that night, they knew. It was magical, for sure.
Good. Thanks.
Well, and I loved those things, even when I didn't know what you were referencing, it made my cold, dark heart melt a little, because I thought, it was like, you could see those like connections with the other women. And one of the things I love about your story is Jeanette thought you were going to be checking the box of funny. Mm-mm. And this happens so often. What we think someone, we're trying to create this balanced template of a show.
Sure.
And we think, they'll be funny, they'll be sappy, and then life happens. And yours was really different.
So, Carrie, let me give you some backstory. When I met Jamie, she already shared that it was at a women's conference at Allerton. Mm-hmm. But she was there representing her greeting card brand and her blog and her business at the time. When I met this woman, she was running a blog called Commode to Joy. Did you hear me correctly? I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. Commode to Joy.
Because within every commode of a situation, there is an ode to joy. We find happy in the crappy.
Thank you. Happy in the crappy. Her tagline was take a shift.
Shift happens.
Yes.
It does.
And if you went to her blog at the day, and I am so sorry, Jamie, I am going to out you. I mean, she had pictures of herself on her website, in progress, like
on the throne.
On the throne with, the heels and the denim around the ankles.
I called up my middle school best friend who had a photography business at the time, and I was like, Carly, come take my picture. She she knew what she was stepping into. But I mean, I just totally dropped trowel. I was like, we're doing it. Like, I'm comfortable enough with you. Let's go.
This is a woman who had a mission and a vision to bring humor to life, because life is all the things. It's awkward, it's yicky, it's a hot mess, but you found humor in all of it. And that was your mission at the time, and I know it has evolved and changed now. But that's how I met her. So how could I not think of her as this hilarious woman who, this is how she saw the world, and that's what I wanted to help show the world even more, was this beautiful
Jeanette,
perspective.
I'm not funny. I'm just inappropriate.
Is that what we call it? I'm not funny.
Uninhibited. I don't know. Thank you. I accept. Thank you.
Well, I love that, because it goes to what we always talk about. Life isn't always funny. It isn't always serious. It isn't always, fill in the blank. And that your story is the perfect example. Yeah. It was, you are funny or inappropriate, call it what you want. I like both. But also, you had some really powerful things saying, like it was the balance, it was the whole deal, the whole story.
Well, thanks. Thank you. It was actually fun sitting back and listening to it just now.
So did you have to force yourself, or did you try it all to force the funny, or did you know right away, I am not in that space?
No, I knew I wasn't in that space. I mean, all creativity, all of my normal operating systems were completely shut down. No, I could only speak what was in here. Yeah.
Well, I love the show up. That is the meat of everything, right? Like it's just showing up for people.
Well, we went through some discovery. In earlier drafts of Jamie's story, there were many references to people who had shown up for her.
Oh, the first draft, that was all it was.
That was what she was reflecting on. Those who had shown up for her, which is a beautiful reflection, memoir, speech. But as I do, I would challenge her and say, where are you in the story? Like you're giving a lot of credit to these incredible people who've done some great things for you. And I love it, but I want more Jamie in her story. And that was hard for both of us, because she is a writer and a speaker, and she wanted to share, the more obvious, or the more you wanted to give like credit to other people or give the message, the outward message. And I kept challenging her, but where's the personal message? Where's the journey that you're on? And it wasn't obvious right away, but I think you found it, and it was incredible.
I like how it wove to include both times when I had been there for others and times that others had been. I mean, it all really truly jump started with my brother and that speeding ticket. So, I like the give and take. That's what life is, right? When you're able to show up for others, you do. Or I don't mean to use the same phrase over and over, but when you've got extra or abundance, you share it.
And it looks different.
And when you're in a little bit of a needy type spot, you accept. Although accepting can be very hard, but
I love that you painted a picture. It doesn't always look the same.
Mm-hmm.
That I love the idea of your brother just quietly waiting, and then there for you, showing up, but in all these different ways. You showing up with Blueberry.
What a dick. He had me so pissed off. I did not know who it was going to be. Am I allowed to say that, Jeanette?
Sure.
We'll bleep it.
Sorry.
I mean, you've already said ass hat, so it's one of my favorite phrases of all time now.
So would you ladies at all be interested in some of the follow-up from that story?
You don't even know how much I want to know where you are at right now. We're going to take a quick break, and then Jamie, get ready, because we want the rest of the story.
Okay.
Here we go. We'll be right back. Jamie, you asked a perfect question, because I am very curious where you are at today after sharing that story, and what some of the follow-up has been for you.
Well, I am nothing if not prepared, so I took notes prior to coming, and I'm going to go through.
I would expect nothing less.
Thank you. I am going to go through in chronological order. My brother remains one of my best friends to this day. My dad, I still miss him, obviously. His license plates growing up were always the first part of our last name and then 256, because he was born in February of 56. And I have come to associate 256 with Dad. So I still get those little love winks, and that makes me smile. Indo. Man, this is honest to God truth. Within the past 5 days, quite literally, I had a moment walking through my house in the kitchen where the pendulum completely shifted, and I, for the first time, became really grateful that I had that damnable disease, because I genuinely think it required me getting beat upside the head so severely with pain for me to say, that's got to be my body telling me something. I'm only meant to have one child. I always wanted two. I always wanted two kids, a boy and a girl. And I got the boy, and then that happened, and fast forward enough years, I'm so glad I only have one child. There's less chaos. There's less chasing a clock to run around to all of the different events. There's less like food and snack. Just like daily life is so much easier now that he's gotten a little bit older. that might sound like I dislike kids, which is false. I actually love kids, and I love to be nice around kids instead of feeling like I'm a little bit of a raging. So one has helped with that. It's just neat to see how that has played out. I'm glad that when it first happened, we had discussed the possibility of me seeing an infertility specialist to go down that route, and we both decided that I didn't want to. I thought, this is my body telling me something, I'm going to listen to it, and I'm glad I did. So that's pretty cool. That took a long time coming. Shirley, the woman who brought me the hot fudge sundae, she is now 82 years old. She is another one of my women that I consider my 4 moms. She's the second of my adult moms. Well, technically first, but of the 2, you know what I'm saying. I talked with her on the phone this morning. She remains very near and dear. She's a special one. She's also of the generation. She was in the audience that night. She had no clue that I was going to be sharing that story. She is a person that is very hard to compliment, and you could see it land. Not while I was on the stage, but afterwards, that she's sort of that generation. They don't need the accolades. They don't need it's just sort of like boots on the ground, soldiering, doing life. And that was really neat to see that one, when you do something and have your own sort of life MO, and then you see that someone else recognizes that, it was sort of that, right?
Maybe she needed that. Yeah.
My grandma, it still astonishes me that she knew who I was and that I had been showing up, genuinely. Because when it comes to medical stuff, let's say it's a mentation disease, let's say it's a coma situation, whether medically induced or from trauma, we really don't know what's going on in their minds, right? We don't know what's sticking and what's not. We don't know when the voice comes through and when it doesn't. And it's neat to see that in that situation, somewhere, her synapses were firing correctly and feeding her correct information.
Because you showed up.
Yeah, it's cool.
You created some sense of routine in her life.
Mm-hmm.
And that helped her.
Yeah. My student, who was an 8th grader at the time, she is going to be a sophomore this year in high school. She has her driver's permit. Going into freshman year, she did not make the cheerleading squad. She tried out again, and she has made it this year. I am so proud of her for that. My son's soccer team made it to a championship game of a tournament in June, and she came to that championship game with me. And then just the very next week, I got sworn in as a CASA advocate, and she came to my swearing in for me. And it was such a neat turning of the tides that, I've been present in her life, and here she and her dad came and they showed up for me in the courtroom,
You know how you talk about those 4 women who show up, including your mom.
Yeah.
But now you're one of those women for her.
Yeah, I think that's
incredible.
Probably very likely.
Yeah.
She's a special one. And then as for myself, sometimes if you're willing to make those hard decisions, they pay out. I mean, the dividends are huge. I'm in the best spot that I've been in my life, and it absolutely would not have been without me walking through the fire, throughout the year of 2024, essentially. Yeah, things are good. Things are golden, girl.
What are some fun highlights you can share?
So, fun highlights. I love my house. I did not get the house, so to speak, so I had to start over. And assuming that 99% of the people listening to this don't know me at all, I love spaces. I love my house. I love making it my own. That was particularly difficult. I had sewn a lot of the curtains. I had done a ton of chainsaw work in the yard. I had hung the pictures. I had painted. The house was me, right? The house and I were one until we were not. And so I had to start over. And it's been really fun creating this space that's fully my own, just whatever I want it to be. I recently had to have a little bit of concrete poured in the basement, and when the base level of just rocks were down and were still wet, my cat left a sort of not quite muddy but paw print on the wall, and it was so stinking adorable that I just outlined it with Sharpie, and there's this random Sharpie cat print on my wall. I can do that.
It is unique. It is special.
That was a bit of a tangent, but I'm very handy, and I get a lot of satisfaction out of doing stuff on my own, so I have been. Let's see, with work, In addition to being the librarian, last year I was also offered the position of technology teacher, so I teach tech to K through 5, which meant last year I actually got to have my son as a student. He was a 5th grader last year, and that was a blast. I actually enjoyed that a lot. He's a good kid. I'm not surprised that I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't have guessed that that would be my reality. And then this year, in addition to library and teaching tech, I'll also be taking over the school social media. So I'm looking forward to that. And we've got less than a month till the first day of school. Is that true for you too, Carrie?
Yeah.
Wild. Yeah. Those are sort of the big touch points. I mean, I mentioned that I've become a CASA advocate, so I've got twin brothers that I'm advocating for. That's been great. It's,
That is a very special. It's volunteer position, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. For anyone who does not know, look up CASA. They are
court-appointed special advocate, and
you represent children who are going through
any child who has been removed from their home, either from neglect or abuse. And oddly enough, in the entire state of Illinois, Macon County, which is where Decatur is, has the second largest number of children in the system, second only to Cook County. We have in Macon County alone, we've got over 430 children in the system. So they rely heavily on volunteers to help make sure that reports are current, that the judge is seeing, so that they can help make appropriate recommendations based on the children's needs. Other people are showing up for the parents, but we're specifically there for the kids.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing
Cool.
that work.
Yeah,
it's
you bet.
really, really important work.
My pleasure. Absolutely.
Jamie, I would like to pour a glass of Muscato and just sit here and enjoy. I've so appreciated
I'd like to
hearing
just,
all of the updates.
Like,
I know you want to
cheers.
just
Like,
raise a glass
I'm free
and
after
celebrate.
this. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. Well, pour the wine.
It's
We're going
on.
to take a quick break and then check in with Jamie a little bit more. But this is good time. I wish you could be with us, but you can't. So we're going to take a quick break and be right back. So Jamie, I'm so glad to hear that you are back to finding joy in your life, to experiencing new things, to being on the other side. Mm-hmm. Now, because I got to walk alongside you for a little bit of this journey, you went through one of the hardest things you've ever been through, and you had to find a way to cope. And I wanted to share with our audience, what was it that you shared with me that was going to be your big coping mechanism?
February into March of 24. So we're talking a month before I took the stage for She Said was when I hit rock bottom of all. February 2nd. That date can suck it. And I was in such a dark place that it's like you have to give yourself something to look forward to. You know, when you're in a work slog and it's like, but I got this vacation coming up, or but, this day off is coming up. It helps to have things to look forward to. So it's like, all right, Jamie, you have to come up with a couple of things to look forward to. What are you going to do once your divorce is finalized? And originally I thought I would come up with 3 things, but I only came up with 2, and that was I wanted to get a cat and a tat. And I did both within a week of each other, actually. Last summer, I started my sleeve. It's a partial sleeve, but she is completed now. And I took my son with me to the local animal shelter, and we adopted my kitty cat, and I love her so much. And so when Miller isn't at home with me, I still have company. I still have a companion. She's my little soul baby.
Your soul baby.
I love her
What is
so
that
much.
for goals? A cat and a tat.
a
cat
cat
and
and
a
a
tat.
tat.
Is there some special meaning behind the tattoo?
Lots, but we don't have enough left for this segment.
Are you happy?
Very.
Your soul is
good.
on fire.
I'm
you're,
good,
You're
yeah.
being fed spiritually.
It's been very nice having my own space and having lots of quiet time. It was like I needed to reset my entire nervous system, and the quiet and the peace has been essential to that. Refer back to the only child revelation. It's just, my house has become a home of healing, which I needed. I very much needed.
I love that for you.
Yeah, me too. Thanks.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
So one thing we didn't touch on yet was also in 2024, you were invited to join us at the Women's Conference, the Power of Storytelling Conference, because I still insist that you are a funny lady.
Thank you for
that. And I asked you to come and speak on the power of using humor in your story, but your real life story, not just the story you share on stage. because in your past career, in your past initiatives, the blog that you owned, you really did embrace humor as a tool for healing, for looking at life through a lens. And that's what I was wanting to capture, because that's what I've always admired about you.
Well, thank you.
And so I wanted to share with you because I did peek in on your session, and I had heard some of it, and you had actually brought the story of your dad's car accident to the conference, to the women in the audience. And there was a piece of advice you had gotten about what is the, I'm going to get this wrong, so please correct me.
How is it a good thing?
How is it a good thing?
Yeah, how is it a good thing?
I always use the phrase, like, what if nothing went wrong? Like, what if it was what was supposed to happen, or find the good, is to quote Gina Johnson. But you brought that into your lesson that day. And I just wanted to tell you that not even a week ago, a woman in my life who was in attendance that day quoted that back to me.
Hey.
Because she was going through something. There was someone had passed away in her circle, and she brought that exact phrase to the table for discussion, for some eye-opening, for some healing.
It helps shift the pendulum from this woe is me, why did this happen, this is devastating, to it helps turn the tides just a little bit. A good friend at the time who is by trade a psychotherapist, it's so weird. That's such a weird phrase. I'm a psychotherapist. Anyway, she was the one who posed, less than 2 months after Dad's accident. We finished yoga in Savasana, and I just freaking lost it, and I'm not one to typically lose it. And she shoved that phrase in my face. And you talk about feeling like a complete gut punch. Like, what are you talking about? But I'm willing to mentally go there, and so I sat with it. And there's something to be said for, he was 54, he was perfectly healthy, he never knew pain and suffering from a disease. So that was what I came up with. How is it a good thing?
A good thing.
And honestly, that was the moment. And that was, you know how with marketing, there's a lot of times a phrase that's the undercurrent of everything. And even if it's never spoken beyond like corporate business meetings, they know that that's the foundation. That question was the foundation of Commode to Joy. How is it a good thing? Yeah. Did you ever know that?
I do now.
That's what was under it all. Mm-hmm.
How is it a good thing?
Mm-hmm.
Finding happy in the crappy.
Mm-hmm.
And that is your gift.
Yeah.
I'm gonna embarrass Jamie one more time. So she and I were sitting in the
Good
audience.
luck.
She and I were sitting in the house of the Lincoln Square Theater in downtown Decatur, and it was the day of the show or the morning of the show, and I just said, I view you as an empowering humorist. Like that, those two words just stuck together for me. Just someone who breathes, speaks humor and delight, but also empowerment and thoughtfulness and inspiration into people. Whether she's doing it on purpose or not, I have no idea. But that's how I see you.
Thank you
and
for
so
that.
that is, I've always tried to, to bring you back so that I can get a little more fix, a little more taste of the Moscato.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Jeanette, I'll come back anytime, girl.
I appreciate that so much. We're almost out of time. Any final words?
Well, I just love that all the different ways, thinking about your piece being called, talking about showing up, and then listening to this just litany of ways you show up for yourself and for others, and filling Jeanette's cup in the way you do. I imagine you out there in the world just like Muscato for you, Muscato for you.
It's pixie dust. It's Moscato pixie dust. Yeah. Carrie, I'm
Well,
glad
thank
to
you for
meet you.
doing
Oh,
it.
it's
Thank
my
you.
pleasure. I like being next to a kindred educator. This is fun.
Yay.
I'm surprised we've not met before.
I know. Jeanette?
Oh, it's my fault?
Yeah.
Well, here you are on the She Said Project podcast. It is my pleasure to have you both in the same room. Go.
We're saving it for after the podcast
it's the
podcast.
after.
We have to launch another one. The stories after the stories after the stories.
Yeah.
And there are plenty. There are plenty of those. But I just revel in the fact that I got to spend that quality time with Jamie and the women in her cast. For the first, That's What She Said, Macon County. There will never be another, because that show has been rebranded. the Community Foundation went through a rebranding. They're now known as the Heart of Illinois Community Foundation. So that's what she said, got rebranded Heart of Illinois. So there will always only ever be one.
And you
That's
could
what
just
she
tell
said.
it was a special cast. You could just, I mean, I think we often think that about every single cast, but you could just tell there were all those little nuggets of love between them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they all came to see, or most of them came to see this year's show.
Yeah.
It was magical to see them
And
all come together.
The Decatur show happens at the Lincoln Square Theater, which is downtown Decatur. I don't remember the exact year it was built, sometime in the 1800s. She's an oldie and a goodie, and that girl she still turns up, you know? I love it. It's a cool spot. We have several theaters in town to choose from, and I love that this one's at the Lincoln.
It's a beautiful theater, a phenomenal venue to hold our event. And I know we've got 8 years still to go on the 10-year plan. I'm really honored to get to work with the women and to get to know the women of Macon County and now Heart of Illinois and beyond. This year's cast was also special, but there will never be another.
That's right.
That's what she said, Macon County.
You know what, Jeanette? I'm looking at my notes. I have one quote that I had written down.
Bring it.
Do we have time for the outro?
You got like 45 seconds.
At some point, when I was still going through it, I read a quote that said, "You only have 2 lives. The second one begins when you realize you only have one." And that was exactly where I was at the moment, where it's like, all right, there's your cue. There's the outro cue.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Live
I
it,
don't
ladies.
think there's anything more amazing that we can say after that. So
Loud and proud, ladies.
Jamie, thank you.
Welcome, my pleasure.
You
Thank
are
you.
a perfect representative, ambassador of all things she said.
That sounds like you had too much Muscato.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on the She Said Project podcast.
Thank you for listening to the She Said Project podcast. All materials contained in the podcast are the exclusive property of the She Said Project and That's What She Said LLC. For more information on our live shows, go to shesaidproject.com.